Hey there YouTube, this is CFL Fanatic. I'm uploading my picks for Week 15 in the 2010 CFL season. This Week 15 is my 1-year anniversary of uploading picks to YouTube. I started on Week 15 last year in 2009. So I was on a cruise last weekend. I didn't get to watch any of the games, unfortunately. Would have liked to watch the Hamilton-Edmonton one. Thank God I didn't have to sit through Saskatchewan and Toronto. Alright, last week, 2-2. Chris Schultz, 2-2. These 2-2 weeks are really annoying me. Anyways, that takes me to 30-22, and Chris Schultz is at 24-28, so I have a solid 6-game lead on him. Okay, again, busy life, no rush, or in a rush, yeah. Okay, first up, Edmonton and Hamilton, Friday Night Football. Edmonton's offense, from what I gathered from the replays and the recaps that I've been watching to try and see what the patterns are, Edmonton's offense looked pretty solid, looked like they did a much better job than they did in Moncton. So they definitely dominated Hamilton's defense, but I don't happen to feel that Hamilton's defense is all that strong. Some people might disagree, but really all this whole season they haven't looked spectacular or anything, save for a couple games. So yeah, Edmonton won last week, but this is a Hamilton team that, like the Argos, seem to know how to lose a game when it's kind of important. I was really disappointed with the entire Eastern Division. Anyways, I think they'll bounce back at home. Edmonton is in for a reality check, I think. So I think the Ticats will win this one. Okay, Toronto and Saskatchewan. Now, this game is happening in Mosaic Stadium on Saturday, and Cleo Lemon is back. And you know what? I think that the Argos are going to pull off a surprise victory and stun the Rider fans. Now, that sounds completely crazy. And the reason is it is. I'm lying. I think the Riders will have no problem wiping the floor with the Argos, because you look at last week when they had to bring in Dalton Bell, and what did they do? They just kept running Corey Boyd up the middle. That will work for maybe 2 or 3 plays, but eventually the defense is going to catch on. And the fact is, without Corey Boyd, that game would have been a blowout. The Riders, from what I gather, didn't even play that well. And this team has lost, especially the offensive coordinator. They've lost all their creativity and the spark that they had. They don't know how to call plays anymore. They don't know how to utilize their weapons. And that's why the Riders are going to wipe the floor with the Argos on Saturday. Okay, doubleheader on Thanksgiving. The first one, Calgary and Montreal. So, Montreal coming off of a very bad game against Calgary, but I don't think they're going to play that same way in front of their home crowd on Thanksgiving. So, Calgary obviously expressed or showed a lot of dominance over Montreal in the game at McMahon Stadium. Offense clearly walked all over Montreal's defense. Anyways, Montreal, I don't think they're going to have that bad a game again. Montreal is going back home angry with a very disappointing loss. They've had a bad loss to Calgary. They had what, in my opinion, was a bad win against Winnipeg. That was a game that was Winnipeg's for 3.5 quarters. Alouettes just kind of squeaked by them at the end. So I think it's time for the Alouettes. They're going to be looking to come out strong and finally have a game where they really dominate, and that's why I'm picking the Owls to win this one. Okay, BC and Winnipeg. This one is in Winnipeg. Now, Schultze's picking Winnipeg, and he has said this. Schultze has said that Winnipeg is a very, very good 3-10 football team, and I could not agree more with that statement, because it's true. You look at the Bombers; they're at 3-10, but they're a far better team than the Argos, who are 6-7. Because the Argos are just, even though they're kind of middle of the pack right now, they're a joke. They're an absolute joke. And it's been that way since the game where they beat Montreal at home back in Week 7. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked on the Argos again. So, logic says pick Winnipeg simply because they're going back home. But I have to look at Winnipeg. They're pulling Giles. They're starting Alex Brink. I don't know if that's really going to bode well at least at first. It may after a couple games, but you got to stick with them. But for now, I think I'm going to have to take BC for this one and disagree with Chris Schultz. So those are my picks in case you missed them. I know I said I'd do something special in this video last week because it's my 1-year anniversary and everything, but I don't know. I don't really have the time, so I'll see you next week.